ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fagan Muller podcast. Fagan Muller podcast. Fagan Muller podcast. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It's been a tough 2 days, but I've been back, and I came here with a lift. But I'm back, Fagan Muller podcast, growing your professional self. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for all the messages asking me to please come back. And I am back. I didn't go nowhere. We just changed the evenings. Thank you for popping in on a Tuesday. And I do have a guest with me this evening, Mr. Robert Stephenson. Did you see my tagline? Global award-winning, did I get it all right? Social entrepreneur. I don't know if I flattered you too much, but good evening, Mr. Robert Stephenson. How are you, sir?
Good evening. I'm very good. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
I know we had a joke that I said to reach out to your agent.
They agreed, they agreed, but after tough negotiations. But
yeah, because I know you were a busy man when you were here in Cape Town at the time. But everybody's thinking, like, so probably, where is Mr. Stephenson from? Where are you from, sir?
So I'm from Dublin, Ireland originally. So I was born in Dublin and I spent half my life in Ireland.
Is it County Clare?
Well, I was born in Dublin, which is the capital city.
Okay.
But then recently I moved to the west of Ireland, to my mother's county. It's like people move from the east coast to the west and then they go back to the east coast.
Okay, nice.
Well, it's the opposite. In my case, I went from the east to the west coast to retire there.
So is Dublin's Cape Town?
Retire. Well, Dublin is my city of birth, and it's a city I've spent most of my life in. But having said that, I've lived in many cities and speak various languages. But the city I like most is actually Cape Town, and that's why I managed to buy myself a little house here last January. Yeah, so now I'm a Cape Townian.
And I've been around you a while, and you love it when people like it when you say that. You are Cape Townian. What is the first thing that tickled your fancy here? And I'm going to ask you, first thing, food.
No, well, it wasn't food. It wasn't the first thing, no.
But what is the first food that you said, now, this is my Cape Town food?
Well, what do I mean?
Yeah, what's your Cape Town food?
Mostly seafood, to be honest, Yeah, I mean, I think the seafood here is excellent, and seafood in Ireland is also excellent. Okay. So I think that's because you get lots of good fresh fish here, so let's face it.
Brilliant.
And then it's a healthier food than meat, shall we say.
Because we're going to get into everything healthy and everything, you're going to say what you stand for with climate and everything else. But so what made you say, I want to be here in Cape Town? Actually, a question I really wanted to ask you, what's the first thing that went boom? Because you landed here in?
2006 is the first time I came here. But I mean, long story short is that I was always fascinated by Cape Town, just the name and where it was at the end of Africa,
Okay.
And it's always as a kid, and I collected stamps. Postage stamps.
Okay.
A rare thing nowadays.
What do you call that again?
They're called postage stamps.
But what do you call that?
You put them on letters. And you send them to the post office, and it takes a week or 3 weeks to get there.
Don't you promise with me that the kids didn't know what the SMS was the other day. I know what the postage stamp is. I did send a letter, Rob. But I want to know, what do you call the person that collects postage stamps again?
Oh, a philatelist, isn't it?
A philatelist. I was new. You see, okay, so you collected postage stamps.
Yeah.
And you couldn't find the Cape Town postage stamp.
No, well, I collected. Obviously, I've got a secret to admit here on radio for the first time. I collected the British colonies, right? Ooh. Even though I'm Irish, so. Because they were the more interesting geographically, they're all over the place.
Okay.
And my aunt ran the post office in County Clare in Kilkee. And so she'd give me all these amazing stamps from going back to the 30s.
And I know you're a big historian, which we'll also go through. So that must have also aligned with, I need to get to that colony.
Well, You know, I mean, Ireland was a colony as well, if you like. Unfortunately, we were there for 800 years, suffering under the yoke of British rule, long before the poor South Africans or the poor Khoi and the people who were originally, you know. So,
and 800 years ago, the Irish were called what?
Oh, well, it's what we call the English, which was probably not repeatable. But anyway, well, the Irish and the English have a sort of a difficult history. You know, we've got what we might say, difficult neighbours, you know. So we've had to suffer that. But hey, you know, we managed to survive somehow through wars and famine and cultural wars and everything else. And now Ireland's doing extremely well as a republic.
And you come to you come here in 2016 and you land.
Well, I came here first in 2006, actually. Okay. 2006 is when I landed. And I came here with an idea, because I was running a program called Blast Beat in certain countries in Europe at the time, you know, so we had it going. And it's a sort of a life skills program that we brought into high schools, where the kids set up and run their own, they start their own company, so they learn about setting up a company, but actually the company was to put on events and put on a battle of the bands, or, you know, music challenge, you know, if they're rappers or whatever. So we started that. Then they would learn actually over the course of 3 months through a multi-award winning program, how to set up and run their own promotions company, their own events company. But really what they were learning is how to work together as, you know, classmates who didn't do that before. 100%. Do a business plan, how to do a business plan. But if it's around music, you know, then people are interested. Exactly. So if I went into a class of 15 or 16 or 17-year-olds and said, I'm here to teach about social enterprise, there'll be a lot of glazed looks, you know. 100%. So, but if you go in and just say, hey, who likes music? Bang, everybody hands up, you know. Oof. And then you say, who wants to make some money? And then, then everybody's attention. And so that's how I start the introduction to the program. And then by the end of an hour, the kids have just looked at, they've got 14 different jobs they choose from. They choose their own jobs, and then they decide who's going to be CEO, and then off they go. They divide up into 4 teams, and they set up they take ownership straight away.
You don't mind just giving this idea out there to someone who can...
No. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you know...
Because you've done it since 2000?
Yeah, well, I've never charged for the program. I came up with the idea in 2003, I think it was, 2003, yeah.
Okay. Whew.
And it's been a long journey.
I'm going to get back to 2003. There's something I always do on my show. I take all your bio. This is Kim Muller, 2 of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know who's that now. Who's that?
Well, 2 of my favorites are. I reckon she's complimenting both of her. Thanks very much, Kim.
Okay. So on my show, what I usually do, and I encourage everybody to every week. I encourage my viewers to go out there and use ChatGPT, use the AI, use it for your work. So what I do, I stalk you. I take all your information off the internet. And then I throw
including my parking fines.
Including your fines and the one that you paid 800 rand. And then I throw it into ChatGPT, and then it gives me this beautiful bio. And I thought, and I always read it out, because it seems to always say things that it's very...
Well, I haven't heard this, so...
You haven't heard this?
No. I mean, I haven't actually looked for myself. I'm one of those people who doesn't look on Google for my name, when, you know...
No, I think...
And if I did, you'd probably get the guy who made the trains, you know, back in the 1800s.
No, there is a couple of very old pics I like. The first pic that pops up, and we'll probably chat about that, maybe something you don't know. The first pic that pops up on Google with you is you and Bono.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the 2 of you just like, yeah, this is my bra. Like,
I know that photograph. It's actually his daughter who took that photograph.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the famous clothes designer now and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's done very well.
Because I think
it was on Christmas Day, actually, and I lived opposite the church, the Anglican church in Dalkey, where I was living.
Okay.
And literally our gate was opposite, so it had snowed that morning, and so the ground was covered in like a half a foot of snow.
Yo.
So this old churchyard that was built in 18 whatever, big steeple on it and everything was changed with the snow. So I was out with my camera. I wasn't going to go to the church on Christmas Day, I'm more in the Buddhist tradition, but. And then, as I was taking photographs in the yard, the doors open of the church, and one of the first people to come out was Bono, who's an old friend. And so he said, "Oh, Robert, how are you?" So and so. Anyway, we just chatted and took photographs, and I was, and then he said, "Come on, well, let's get a photograph together." And so he gave my camera to his daughter, who he was with, and she took that photograph actually.
Okay, so because I'm sure if people will be wondering, like, you just happened to walk into Bono, but he's Irish, obviously, so.
Well, it was.
He's not always just walking around.
He actually makes a tradition of going to that church as it happens.
Okay, brilliant.
When he does go on Christmas Day.
And your relationship obviously goes way back.
Goes way back. Yeah, back to the very start actually, but almost the very start. I was involved in a thing called the Sense of Ireland Festival. I was in college in Trinity at the time, doing an honours degree in psychology. And
is it Sense
of Ireland, a sense of Ireland. So it was
SENCE,
sense, like not a taste of Ireland, a sense of Ireland, because it was about the arts.
Okay,
so it was a big, and at that time Ireland and England were at war in many ways.
Okay.
There was all the IRA, the bombings in London, and Irish people were again treated like, unfortunately, Muslims are treated badly by people because they associate them with terrorists and all this type of stuff, or whatever,
Yeah.
And we had the same thing in England. So if you're Irish, you were suspect of carrying a bomb half the time. So we decided to put on a big arts festival in London.
Okay, sure.
And just to show that actually Ireland was about arts, culture, and everything else. And it was, the violence is a minority of people, a tiny minority of people. But as you know, a tiny minority of people can cause a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Looking around what's happening in Cape Town at the moment. Anyway.
And so I'm going to just read this because I want to get back to 2003 when Can Beat started and everything else that comes with it. So it says, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for an electrifying episode where we dive into innovation, climate action, and creative excellence for none other than an extraordinary Robert Stephenson. With 4 decades of experience with the realms of education, environment, and music and multimedia, Robert has carved a path that defies the ordinary. His journey is captivating and a symphony of entrepreneurship, advocacy, and boundless passion. Imagine a visionary whose creativity flows like the rivers of County Clare in Ireland.
Oh my God!
Can
I meet your friend AI? He's very complimentary.
Robert is not just a social entrepreneur; he's a change architect, a solution sorcerer, and a climate crusader.
Solution sorcerer, I love that. That's great.
Wow, you got to use the
Jeez.
From educational enlightenment to event orchestration. He's done it all and then some. But wait. There's more.
Oh.
Robert's commitment to a greener planet led him to launch a groundbreaking Irish Industrial Hemp Summit in 2019.
Oh, that's
Inspired
true.
by the remarkable Greta Thunberg, Robert's vision echoes her words, "I will take courage, fierce determination, and far-reaching vision to shape the ceiling." In 2020, he co-founded Climate Actions Now, an awe-inspiring movement that gathers the finest minds and organizations under its mighty umbrella to combat the urgent challenges of climate change. Robert's journey is a harmonious blend of ingenuity, action, and heart, perfectly attuned to the beat of the planet's needs. But that's not all.
Oh, God.
Robert's connection to music and dance.
This is too much. I'm beginning to get red in my face.
It's the rhythmic heartbeat of his mission. He endeavors to resonate with the young and igniting a passion for change through his power of artistic expression. And who could forget his role as an artist manager, guiding young rising talent to true mastery. Today, Robert stands as the founding director of Climate Actions Now, a beacon of hope to fight against greenhouse gas emissions and everything else that's climate actions through his Climate Actions app, testament to his relentless dedication with a bottom-up approach and his unique, effective style. So whether he's creating centers of excellence or orchestrating a symphony of sustainable methods, his leadership is unattainable. His journey in the record labels to climate activism is a testament to infinite potential. So listeners, this is Robert Stephenson, a boundless energy,
Wow.
Irish humor.
Oof. I mean, I'm going to start using AI for everything now. It's highly flattering, but
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm honored, AI, and I want to be your friend, okay?
that's how it goes. And then in 2003, with all this being said, you land here, and in 2003 you started.
No, I started Blast Beat in 2003,
First
and it just
country.
started in Ireland.
Okay.
And then I got it going in Belgium.
Okay.
Just by circumstance, and then I got it going in Northern Ireland, then I got it going in the UK, and then I raised a couple of million, and I got it going in 4 continents.
Oof.
So that was it. But that's a long journey too. And then it went up, and then there was the crash of...
How did it crash?
Well, there was a crash, the economic crash
Okay.
of 2010, 9,
Okay.
10, 11. So Ireland
Because
went
the impact
bankrupt.
remains the same of the program.
Well, you see, the program was sponsored. I never charged a school or a parent a penny
Okay.
for the program. I always managed to get sponsors. But when we had our economic crash in Ireland, where Ireland went bankrupt, all the banks were nationalised, and the International Money Fund Monetary Fund came in. That's how bad it was,
We know.
Well, I don't know. It didn't affect you guys as much as us. But anyway, that's another story. But, at that time, then all the sponsors, like Coca-Cola was the main sponsor at that time.
Okay.
So rather than doing the nice stuff in the schools that they were doing with us, helping educate children to
Just throwing it
show
out
the
there.
gatekeepers, which are the mums, that Coca-Cola actually did something good for their kids
Yes.
rather than something that could be negative, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so on. That's why they did it, but they were highly satisfied with it. But then it was like, okay, sorry, we just need to maintain our percentage of, in the shops, it was buy one bottle, get one for free type of stuff going on. So all the good programs. And then the first thing that suffers in a recession, a serious one, is the nice sponsorship things and all that. And then it's all batten down the hatches. And so it's very, very difficult in those circumstances to raise money from corporates for anything. So we actually had to, stop it out. Well, we stopped it for a while,
Okay.
but I kept it going in the UK and in Ireland, and then I moved to the UK, and then I got funding there from the Department for,
And
Department for Education, actually, the UK. It was the Department for Children, Schools and Families at the time, which is what the Labour government called the Department for Education, which is what the Tories call it. So
Okay.
that's just the way it is in the UK. But the Tories came in, they cut the funding in 2010 because they're the Tories, and they don't want to do good stuff in schools in inner cities and anything else because they don't vote for the Tories.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So basically, they cut the funding, and have still been cutting all services for the last 12 years. But so then I had to go out, and I got Barclays involved in the UK, and then I got O2, and then within a year we had 14,000 in the O2 Arena for the finals, which is all online. And so that was from collapse to the phoenix within a year, and that was a struggle, but it happened.
And how's the conveyor belt been since then?
Which conveyor belt
Of blast. Let's start with blast beat.
Yeah, well, Blast Beat, so then that kept it going then, so that brought it through 2010 to 2015, and then it was highly successful. We had it in 62 schools in London, and we had it in Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, and that was without the support of the Department for Education in terms of funding, but we managed to
Just the funding of
get
the
the funding
externals.
and reduce our wages and just put the nose to the grindstone and get through, and so we got through. But then for family reasons, I had to stop and move back to Ireland in 2015,
Okay.
just to look after my mum, who was then elderly and needed support.
Okay.
So I did that, and then when my mum passed, God bless her, she was, she blessed me with a bit of money that I actually was able then to come back to Cape Town, to South Africa, to start the program again. But now it's called Can Beat, because it's around
Climate
it's the same
action.
basic program, but the output is we want the young people to step and run their own events, whatever it is. It can be anything. It could be fashion, it could be music, it could be sport, it can be video games, it can be whatever they want. But at the end, they have to put 25% of the profits into some green
Climate.
event. In other words, they can plant trees in their school or start a vegetable garden or put a solar panel on the roof or whatever they decide to do.
Okay.
So then it gives them an idea that they can actually do something.
Yes.
You know. And growing hemp was, I suppose, part of that, because if you grow and process a ton of hemp, industrial hemp. Now, I'm not talking about Dhaka. I'm not talking about the hemp that you would, call it recreational hemp.
Yes.
So industrial hemp, you can make houses, you can make walls, you can make hempcrete, you can make clothing, medicines, all sorts of things. But if you process 1.5 tons of hemp, a ton of hemp, it'll take 1.5 tons of CO2 out of the atmosphere.
Yo.
Yeah, because the stalk of the plant and the leaves, but essentially the stalk is it's what you use to make a hempcrete wall, and then that'll stay there for hundreds of years. So you're locking up the CO2 into that into brick, essentially. That's a building block.
So and so the program has a continuous cycle. So from Canbeat, they throw the event at schools. Has there been schools in Cape Town?
Yeah, well, Blastbeat ran in schools in Cape Town, both in the leafy suburbs, but also in townships. Okay. Khayelitsha, Annandale.
And they had successes there?
Yeah, and in fact, the South African team won the international competition. Yeah, I formed a Springboks, if you like, but it was brought, I think it was eight young social entrepreneurs, and a band that was an Afrikaans band, as it happened, who won the thing. But then there was 4 of the kids were from township schools, and the other were from Bishop Sachs, Rondebosch, and so on. So it was an amazing experience to bring them all together to represent South Africa in Ireland, and then they won that as well. So they won it. And it was an amazing experience for them as well, because the kids from the townships had hardly ever met a kid from Bishops or Sachs, and vice versa. But they all got on, despite all of everything. When they came together to represent South Africa, they all were a team, and with all the different languages, between them, Xhosa, there was English, there was Afrikaans, and somehow everybody got on.
So I love, and just from me looking at what Climate Actions now is about, it looked like a melting pot of. I mean, you were an artist manager, so art in its essence is not just music. So it looked like a melting pot of different.
Yeah, well, I think
everybody impacting the
music is the international language, and if you want to communicate with people, or if you want to actually educate anybody, you need to get their attention, and you need to have them in a position where they want to learn. So that they're interested. You need their interest. So if you have something like music, then 95% of young people are going to be interested straight away. And then, so I leverage my passion around music, which is of course huge, to actually bring it into a business context and show the kids how to set up and run their own events and run their own company, and be prepared for the workplace in a sense, but more to that, start their own businesses, because there aren't too many people employing people here.
Yes.
So it was very much like what Blask does. So 2 of our students are in your school.
Yes.
And, I'm so blown away by the teaching is so amazing in your school, and the passion and the interest, and that everybody in the classes that I've sat in many times, I see what's going on. And it's the perfect type of environment, I think, for any young person to want to be educated in. And I have direct experience of one of the students who didn't want to be there until he went there, and then after a week he didn't want to leave it. So that's something special. So we could spend time in the past, but I'd almost like to jump into where we are now and talk about the future, because what's happened in the past, everything that's happened in the last 70 years of my life brings us to this here and now moment.
Yes.
There ain't no future except in our imaginations. The past is in memory. So here we are.
So I sent you something, and I always base. I say, if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong. But I prefer just to grow. So the motto of the podcast is growing your professional self.
Okay.
So I believe in your professionalism wherever you are, whatever you're doing. There's 3 levels of deserve. Something you asked me, what are we going to be chatting about? And I said, this is what it's based on. Because you provide opportunity. And that's where we are now. you're providing opportunity for the ambassadors that you have, part of CAN, for coming into our entity, just sharing your knowledge. You provide opportunity. But there's 3 levels of deserve, all right? So people usually go, they either get less than they deserve.
They get what?
Less.
Less than they deserve. Okay.
Yeah. So again, so this also, the beautiful thing I can share this is there was a message earlier in the week somebody sent, and they were saying that they're looking at someone that doesn't deserve something. Right? And I want to explain this, shout out to that person. I hope you're watching this evening. That this is what you need to understand. There's 3 levels of deserve. And it's good for someone as you. Remember, I told you something new, the EPSI, the cash flow quadrant.
Yeah. No, that was the interesting thing, by the way, if I don't mind me saying. I'm sitting there, 70 years old. I thought I knew everything about economics. I'm sitting in your class. I'm saying, I didn't know that. Wow, that's amazing. And every time I go into one of your classes, I'm sitting there and I'm learning like any one of the other people in that room.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And now we're bringing our business partners are coming into classes from you about how to get a business together and how to succeed and everything from, return investment to E2I, whatever, So it's all of that stuff that I know. I'm not really I didn't study business in school or anything, or in college at all. I just made it up as I went along.
Okay. I'm slowly learning, but I mean, it's being intentional about one thing, and this maybe gets it. So you look at yourself in business. Would you say, if I'm going to give you the 3 levels,
go
right?
on, quickly.
There's 3 levels of deserve. So you either get less than you deserve, exactly what you deserve, or more than you deserve. In your
Are you asking me a question?
I'm asking you, sir, on
Which
your
of those
70
3 would I
years on this earth, do you think you are getting less than you deserve, exactly what you deserve, or more than you deserve?
Well, probably more than I deserve.
Oh, beautiful, sir. Beautiful. So let me put you out of your misery to the people out there, because sometimes you look at someone who's maybe doing something that's doing what you're doing, and then you go, nah, they don't deserve to do that. So I'm telling you, first of all, there's better artists out there than Black Coffee, but he deserves to get what he. So you deserve, like you said. So if you ask someone a question, what are you doing tomorrow? And they say, I don't know. Then they're already going to get less than they deserve. That answer is already the sign of you getting less than you deserve in anything. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a footballer, if you're a singer, a rapper, an artist, an investor, and I ask you what you're doing tomorrow and you say, I don't know, I guarantee you, in life, you're getting less than you deserve.
Yes, I'd say you're right, but I think it's a balance. Of course, there's I believe in the middle path. So in a way, you really... I feel extremely fortunate, and I am very fortunate, and I recognize that, and I've been very fortunate in my life for so many reasons, but it's not been a life that's been easy either, because, there's been many tragedies in my family, in my life, and everything else, ups and downs and difficult times. So it doesn't matter, even what matters is, how you deal with it and how you come out the other side.
So the middle level there is when people get exactly what they deserve. It's just those people that go along and say, soon things are going to get better, which is okay. Because that's like a lot, like 99, soon. So it's coming. There is a plan in place, but soon. So the third level, which is where you find yourself, or where you complimented yourself at, is where you say, I'm going to make sure that I get this. So it comes from the people who are on the third level. They have motivation, but motivation not in, ladies and gentlemen, please don't go watch a lot of Eric Thomas tapes now and Tony Robbins like that. Not that motivation, because motivation in the etymology of the word is broken down into motive and action.
Well, I mean, I've never actually I've never been into reading those self-help books.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I just don't have the
You said
time,
that.
to be honest, because I'm busy making it up myself, right? And I'm busy making
That's
mistakes. And when you get to 70, if you're still alive, you've made so many mistakes that you've learned so much that actually finally you become a bit wise. And even then, I'm wrong 50% of the time, right? But if you try 10 things, well, then 5 of them will work out.
Yes.
You know? So, you know, and then every day there's new opportunities. And getting back to now is like, there's so much going on here that, you know, I'm out of bed crack of dawn, 6 o'clock in the morning, because I'm just excited to get on to see what happens. But I don't know exactly. Nobody knows what's going to happen
Nobody
tomorrow,
knows.
right? But I know certain things are going to happen tomorrow. Well, inshallah, you know, that I'm not stopped by getting there by some dispute or by some accident or something else. So, but I think there's always times in my day. If you ask me what I'm doing tomorrow, I'll say, well, I can tell you what I'm doing certain times of the day, but actually I go with the flow a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and I think one action leads to another. So I'm not one of these people that plans, you know, meticulously or anything. And I'm very open to people ringing me at whatever hour.
There we go.
And weekends, there's an opportunity to get more stuff done, you know, for me.
Yes.
Because what I'm doing, I enjoy. I prefer to be doing that than going out and playing some sport or, you know, even going for a walk. You know, that's
key,
yeah.
So the key here is taking full responsibility versus pushing off the blame. So that's the middle ground here. Taking responsibility versus shoving off the blame. Because sometimes, like I always say, if I do these, this is part of one of my master classes. If I do these and then I have to obviously break it down again. So that's 3 levels. So even just on 2 levels, it's difference to just taking this full responsibility. If you go take a walk, take full responsibility for taking the walk. Like
Yeah, well, don't take the walk and take out your phone and start.
You know what I mean?
I mean, if you're going to take a walk,
as I say, eat the sandwich.
Leave the phone in your pocket. You know what
Eat
I mean?
the sandwich.
Eat
Be
the
there.
sandwich. Yeah, be there. That's a terrible thing nowadays. The kids, people generally, they're not there anymore. Because
It's tough.
they're
It's
so
tough.
busy looking at their screen, and it's
I'll put my hands
killing.
up
It's
sometimes.
killing society because we don't talk. You know, I've been into universities more recently where you go into a student bar where it used to be full of people animatedly talking and music and
the buzz.
and everyone's sitting there. Nobody talked to each other, all looking at a screen, sitting around, and it's shocking. It's in the UK.
Nobody but a pool board.
And I was saying, oh my God, you know, you'd bring bands into
You know how it makes sense. That's why the Gonzos.
it's like dramatically everything has changed.
You
People,
know, the pool house where everybody goes to go shoot pool.
yeah.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I don't know. We should ask Mikkel. He's a climate actions pool champion. He'll tell you whether
But so the one thing what I want to add there is you were saying that you don't know what's going to happen the next day, and you don't know what's
No.
going to happen the next day. But I mentioned this is that things in motion stay in motion.
Yeah,
Things that are stationary?
one action leads to another. There is an energy. There's a flow.
It has to flow.
And there's a magic flow when it comes down to the mission we're on, which is around saving our own existence and that of every plant and animal on the. Then there's an extra energy and there's an extra magic that comes behind the coincidences. So it's a funny thing now. It's not scientific. I studied psychology, which they tried to make into a science, but it's not. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, there is an energy that comes behind action, and particularly when the mission is important and good, then the amount of coincidences that happen in a week, you know, is now ridiculous. Because when you were doing other things, you know, there was always
nothing.
You might have a coincidence every now and then.
Yeah.
But now 3 or 4 or 5 in a week, in a day, you know, and you just meet somebody who then meets it, and then the next thing, and it's just like, it's like you have to just let the winds and the energy that's behind the mission push the boat forward
Correct.
in the direction that it's meant to go, and you shouldn't interfere with it too much.
So the momentum keeps going, and that's what momentum is, not being stationary. Momentum doesn't mean going fast. Momentum is not a speed thing. So because it's also
But life is only a series of changes, as they say. It's moment by moment by moment by moment. it's a series of changes, which means it's constantly in motion. You might sit there and think you're not, things aren't moving, but even in this planet, we're traveling at 23,000 miles an hour at the moment, right now. This planet is hurtling through. You know what I mean? We think we're stationary.
But that's
no,
the
we're
one.
not. Nothing is stationary. Everything is moving. In fact, I think that the Earth itself is a living being that we just don't understand.
No, man.
And we're the fleas on its back.
We bloody watched the same thing today. I literally watched something where it said that we just fleas on the back. We just fleas on the dog's back here on Earth.
Well,
The
unfortunately,
Earth is
we are,
moving
yeah.
all the time and we just here, living existence. And now, in this momentum, so remember, please people, don't forget, there's 3 levels of deserve. You get less than you deserve if you're saying, I don't know. You get exactly what you deserve if you're saying, I hope. And you're going to get more than you deserve if your motivation is a motive to take action. Now we by Mr. 70-year-old that's still in momentum after all, so you're still in momentum, like 21 years old, you're like a 21-year-old, you're in momentum all the time. Now momentum also has 3 phases. And I brought that also this evening. Because the most difficult, what do you think the most difficult phase of momentum is? Starting.
That's just getting started, yeah. It's turning up. It's taking a decision to put one foot in front of the other.
But sorry, sir, you just said that you don't stand still. The earth is moving. I promise you, some people stand still on a moving earth. Ooh, that's a good one. Drop that ball.
Wow.
Some people standing still on a moving earth, brother. Because they're not starting. So the first thing with momentum is not start, it's called creating momentum. Because I'm going to give you that we are always moving. So creating momentum is the difficult thing. Like you can have the idea, but then you can create.
Yeah.
So people find it difficult to create momentum. So at that level of creating momentum, the reason why people don't start is because of maximum effort and very little output.
Yes. You really need to put all of your energy behind it if you want to get it moving. It's like even trying to get you're trying to push a big car, and you're on your own. It's very hard to get it moving. But when you do get it moving, then you can keep it up, it'll keep rolling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's getting it started is the big difficult thing.
Give me a time when you push this effort like it was falling on you, like on your neck. Like not the recession, like any after, like, this is not going to work.
Oh, I mean, look, I've had so many doubts. I mean, you don't suddenly become some wise guru. Like, I have probably doubts every second day.
It's a good average.
And life is so fickle.
Yes.
And people change, and people don't show up.
Yeah.
Or they show up so late, it's gone. It's like, so, yeah, I mean, I have my doubts, but then, you have a bad day, and then the next day something magical happens, and then you just pick, you're boosted again. So I suppose the thing to know is that no matter how bad it is, it's going to change. And when it's down, it's only one direction go is up. But then when you get to the top of the hill, you've got to come down again. So there's always a sort of an up and down motion in a sense, right?
So after creating momentum, you were at the time of building momentum. Highest point where you feel, or one of the hills you've been on with your program along the way, or a few. Can you drop a few?
Well, I mean, there's been raised. For example,
we're standing at the O2 Arena, like, I did this.
Well, I mean, there's an up and down even within that. So it was like I started this whole thing with an idea that popped into my head one morning because of what I was doing. But I said, I can't do this, I don't have the time. I was very busy in the music business of being successful, and I was too busy. But I said, oh, wow, if I could create what I'm doing, because I was doing these gigs, all ages gigs for kids, because some of the bands I'd signed were under 18. They were punk bands, and so they had nowhere to play. So I started renting theatres in Dublin, where it had a different license than pubs, and so they could go there. You see, so on a Saturday afternoon, I was filling venues. It was the whole thing. Got to go all around the country. So I said, if I could bring that into the schools, so that the kids who were coming from my work experience and enjoying it, I wouldn't say, make the tea or there's some photocopying. I'd say, we got a gig in a month's time. What would you do to promote it, and would you like to get involved? And of course they did. So they made flyers, they went out. Sure. This is before we had digital everything. It was like, so they and they had the best time ever. And then they were doing the gigs. So that's sort of how it started. So that in itself went up and down. So it started with nothing. The first year it cost me cash because I said the story was 20 minutes after I said, that's this brainwave, light bulb moment. I said, I can't do it, I'm too busy. And then something popped into my email, like a random, like, I'm looking to get a job in a record company. I just completed my marketing degree and I did my thesis on MP3 sharing, da-da-da-da-da-da. I was saying, fuck, that's too much for a coincidence. So I rang the guy straight away, and Rory Griffin, I rang him, and he was in Malahide. He was living the other side of Dublin Bay from me. And anyway, I said, look, come in for a coffee. And he came in, and then I talked to him for an hour, and I said, look, I'll employ you from, I'll take you on for 6 months, and I'll pay you a decent amount of money, cover your travel expenses, and then give you a percentage of whatever you raise. But we've only got like 4 months because it was June, and September's term starts in Ireland. New Year starts in September. And so eventually we got some funding, but it wasn't enough to do it. So I had to come up with half the money myself. So I did, out of my pocket.
Nice.
And then we did it, and it was a big success, and I proved it worked. But then that was a bank that sponsored it, and then they got into trouble the next year, and so they dropped out. But
again,
and then it was like, oh no, I've no sponsor. But within 2 weeks, I got Coca-Cola. I mean, went from a local bank to Coca-Cola. I think it was
big boy.
So sometimes things don't work out. You think at the time it's a disaster, and then the next thing, something better comes along. So I'd always say to people, if you look, things change. Anicca. Things change, and even bad things. And if you're coming in the right direction of the right thing, the bad. So there's been an up and down. So Coca-Cola came in. Then I raised loads of money. Then we went around the world. Then there was the collapse, the economic collapse, worldwide recession in 2010-11. It affected the northern hemisphere more than the southern, and all the sponsors dropped away. I mean, and I had Mr. Price down here as a sponsor.
Okay.
And they loved it, the program. They were the sponsor for South Africa. I got it going in South Africa in 2006, and then 3 years after I invented the program, I brought it down here. That's why I came to Cape Town, fell in love with the place because I've got eyes and ears. It's the best, one of the best cities in the world. I love it.
The best city.
Well, it's definitely in the top 3 in my opinion. But I think that Cape Town, my decision is clear. I chose to live here.
Yeah.
I have the good fortune to be able to make that decision.
Yes.
To have the wherewithal, the finance to do that. But I could have. So now I'm a Cape Townian, so I'm an Irish Cape Townian. That's the way I see it. And this is my main place of residence, even though I have to go in and out on a tourist visa and everything else, but which I'm leaving to go back to Ireland now soon. But I'll be back as soon as I can to continue the work. But there's a team of 20 people working here now.
So you now have a team, so you've built momentum now. So when you build momentum, they say you analyze, you evaluate, and you adapt. But I feel that you are past there. You are now advancing momentum. We blast a beat as in move to can beat, and then just looking out, there's can, like I was saying, there's can radio, there's can music.
Can is the app, and it's climate actions now. That's
how climate actions now has created opportunity and this platform through for climate actions, for sustainable working, through everything else that you have created.
Well, it's only the start, really. I mean, we've started. And it's the idea is we can do it. What can we do? Save ourselves. That's the mission, and that of our children and our future generations and the animals and the plants. That's the mission, right? So if we can't do that, then we don't deserve this planet, right? And Mother Earth will take care of us. We'll get rid of the fleas, But so you can do it, and we can do it. So the attitude of climate action now is we can do it, but then it's. Can radio, can music, can dance, can anything else you want. You could even have can electronics, can solar, whatever. It doesn't matter, but it's really the point is to create a movement around awareness. And we're using music, dance and theatre and as main focuses of of communication and empowering people. So we're actually now, I've become like an angel investor. So I invest in some of the people I meet. They could be like Wade, who's a surfer. Now he's got his,
Okay, nice.
he's got, Surfskate South Africa or Surfskate. He's got his own company. He's now self-sufficient. He's doing really well.
Brilliant.
But it took a couple of years. But going from being somebody who was on the, employed, on the return of investment side of things.
Yeah,
now he's an entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur, and he's doing great work, and he's building a company, and he's able to pay his own bills now within 2 years. So that's great success for somebody from a very impoverished background, stood up, and through his passion around surfing, and he's an amazing surfer.
Yeah.
He developed a business which is now sustaining him and his family, etc. So that's surfing. But then, there's other young people working with who are artists. So music and art is my personal passion.
Yeah.
So Tinta Tribe, and so shout out to them.
Shout out to Tinta Tribe.
They're a piano gom band of 3 people from Scalo and from Thomas from Samora Machel.
Yeah.
And so collectively they're now Tinta Tribe. They're doing amazing music. There's international interest in them. They went to Ireland last year and played in the biggest music festival in Ireland, 72,000 people, paid customers, over 100,000 people if you count in the staff and the artists and everything else. So they played that, but it was an amazing experience. So that's up on the website. That'll be up tomorrow, actually. We just did a video of that. So there's Tinta Tribe, there's SGG, who's a rapper. He's originally from Zim.
Yes.
Came here as a refugee at the age of 6. So he's been here ever since. But he's South African Zim. He's got the best of both sides,
So extremely eclectic, and I don't want to go into
eclectic, and we're signing a guy from Rwanda now, right? Yeah, this amazing character, because I'm doing coffee there. That's a whole other story. But then my partner there, who's from Kisoro, who's from Uganda, he said there's this great kid in the town who's doing great music, and he sent me the video, and it's like halfway between amapiano and rap.
Okay.
And it's fantastic, and he's 23, and he's great, and bang. So we're doing stuff, and then we're going to link all the artists. So the artists are very important because they're the communicators of the message around their message. They're not just talking about climate action. Maybe have a couple of songs around climate issues, but they're just talking about the township and life in the township. Tinta is, and Gom is very big here. And they're taking off in that, and also amapiano. But then this is important because it brings an audience and it brings people together.
Correct.
And then we're using the arts as a lever to bring people together around climate action, and to talk about it and to do something about it and have fun around it. It doesn't have to be miserable. We don't have to wear sackcloths. We can actually compensate in certain ways for our use of carbon by actually planting trees, by changing our diet, moving more towards vegetables rather than meat and even fish. So they're all the things we can do that actually are better for us anyway. So it's just a question of changing people's behaviour. And how do you do that? Well, you engage young people. How do you do that? Well, through music, sport. Then there's George Junior. George. He's he's an amazing football player, and he's now in your school.
Yeah.
And he's a fantastic guy. He can do anything, actually. He could be doing music. He's got a great voice. He could be doing fashion because he looks great, and he's got ideas for clothing brand. And he's only 17 and a half. So these young people are full of good opportunity, great ideas and energy. They just need some capital. They need some support. They need to learn about business as well as that, which is not taught in schools, except it is in your school, right? So that's part of why I love your school. All those young people in your class, they're doing their market day in the 20-something
21st of
September. Where is that going to be?
At Zandvlei.
Zandvlei near Museberg, It's a good plug there.
Zandvlei, look out.
So that's going to be great because they're all going to be there, and they're going to be selling, they're going to be doing things. They start their own little businesses, everything from food to fashion to to photography, to gaming. They've got all these projects going on, and
How have you-
that's
how
the
have you
future.
seen that
They're the
then?
future of South Africa.
Yes, and I was going to ask, how have you seen that, like, from where you've had, you can't call them learners, but where you've had people in your program and now they've gone on to take on massive programs? Is there maybe a few that you can...
Well, I mean, going back to you too. I mean, they didn't do Blast Beat, but if they would have loved to, you know, they would have loved to when they were in school, or Can Beat.
Okay.
But I mean, I just helped them get over to London for a gig, and that's where the record company came down to see them on the Sense of Ireland Festival. They didn't have two shillings to rub together, but I got the sponsorship from Aer Lingus to fly them to and put them in a hotel in London. I got sponsored.
Okay.
And they came over, did the gig. That was the last chance saloon for them because everyone had passed on them. All the record companies had come to Ireland, seeing them and said, I don't know, what do you think? Oh, I don't know, what do you think? I don't know, what do you think? Of course, none of these guys, you know.
Is that what they say?
It's like, do you know how many sort of talent scouts it takes to change a light bulb?
Okay, so that's the lawyer question.
No, the answer is, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. You know. So anyway, so actually Island Records signed, and that was the bit I did, was just get them over. But I actually
put them in the room.
I'd seen them play in Dublin, and I didn't even think they were that good, to be honest, at the time, which they weren't. But within a few months, they were good enough to get a record deal, and
Nice.
and I just got them the flight and the hotel and bought them a few drinks.
So even in that contract...
But they wouldn't even drink alcohol. They were on that sort of period of their lives.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was surprised. They were all drinking Coke and Fanta and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, a rock and roll band that doesn't drink. What?
Professional levels was that's what they came in at. So I mean, if that's you two, and that's you two. But I mean, you were telling me about one of the members of the Can Beat program that was a chef, or the Blast Beat program. In the car, you were telling me you became a world class chef. But the program is that sparked that activism for them to become better. And,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's loads of examples. I mean, like, you know,
you must have loads of examples.
There are. There's some people who
And
are
then-
multimillionaires that actually started their career in. I mean, there's a friend of mine, Dara Hickey. So he was a kid from Cork, was 16, did Canby. He wound up setting up a business with 3 others that is worth hundreds of millions. And he started the tech conferences in Dublin. He started with 400 the first year.
Okay.
And that first year, that's the guy, you've heard of Uber, talk about taxis. The guy who started that got his money from a conversation in Dublin where, you see, they were so clever how they did it. Dara, he was one of my kids, if you like.
Yeah.
So he had a good roller deck because afterwards he got involved in radio, and then he got involved in being a researcher for the main radio station. So he got to know lots of people and got their phone numbers because he would. So then he did this conference, and he had Bono coming around the pubs with big wigs from the States, you know, just to show them around Dublin. And that's where Uber got the money to start up. Was in Dublin on the first conference of that. 400 people attended, delegates. By the time it got to 40,000 people 5 years later in Dublin, they had to move it to Portugal because there was no big enough venues in Dublin for it, and also for tax and other reasons they went to Portugal. So that's a guy who started his life. His first business was putting on events, and he's still doing it.
So now you've got your Can Beat now, and Can where it's moving to now, and you're sitting in classes at Blast. What's next for all of these groups?
Well, it's bringing everything together, and maybe the best way to describe it is if you just can imagine an old cartwheel, you know, with the spokes, you know, and the centre of the cartwheel.
Yes.
Well, that's sort of Climate Actions now is, you know, and that's around education and communication. But all the spokes off the wheel are all the different businesses.
Okay.
So really, what we're doing now with Can Beat, it's evolved. I didn't decide to do this 3 years ago. It's just evolved that way by...
As an organism.
Yeah, because it's a living, growing, changing thing. It's changing every day. Can is changing. New things coming on, things dropping away. So where it is now is that a lot of the young people that we met, including Tinta Tribe, STG, you know, and other businesses that are starting. Wade and his business,
IO.
IO dance. He's doing, can dance, and that's every Saturday in OBS. If anybody wants to learn how to do amazing dancing,
plugging Ken in here.
4 to 6 in a nice church in OBS. Go on the website, you'll see it. So all these things are happening, right? But he's like a South African reigning champion for 5 years, under 21 Latin and ballroom dancer, but he does amazing contemporary dance as well. So there's all these incredible people, and then we're just funding them, and then we take a percentage in the company, a small percentage, like they're the majority shareholders, main owners. As part of the Buddhist philosophy, like 25% of the profit goes back to the community.
Yes.
Right? So their 25% is climate action. So it goes back to climate actions when they actually start making money, and that's for finding. They've got to find the people then to invest. So Tinta Tribe are helping young people in their township in Scalo. Brilliant. So eventually those kids who need to do their matric first and everything, when they come out the other side of their matric, they'll have already built a career path if they want. Brilliant. In multimedia, arts, in music, and so on. And so then we invest in them. So it's self-perpetuating, right? So that the money that comes out at the end will go back into finding the next Tinta Tribe, the next SGG, the next Wade, the next, and they're involved in the whole thing because we all work together. So it's like a collective in a way. So you take the best bits you learn over 70 years of life and 50 years of business. I think I had my first business when I was 17. Okay. Right, so I'm 70. So you take all the best bits and then you do your best to put them into something that you think is going to work. And now I don't yet know if it's going to work because it's still not.
I like that you don't know if it's going to work.
But I mean, I'm working,
failing along the way.
I'm working my ass off and enjoying it most of the time, right?
Yes.
And the frustrations are there, but I see that it's coming together now in a way. So we're now talking with serious sponsors, some financial institutions, some government people, some universities. Everybody's really interested in what we're doing because it works.
It works,
and
because I would say, like I told you when I came into climate actions, or not came into, when I said climate actions, okay, I always think climate, garden. First thing that comes to my head, garden. Second thing that comes to my head, Arbor Day. I remember Arbor Day on school. We used to plant a tree.
Arbor Day.
Yes, I don't even know if they do it anymore.
They don't do it anymore, no.
And then the other thing was like, how does my school align with climate? But then I look at everything that's around, and the word activism and awareness is very important. Because my awareness is educational awareness, is making people aware about education. Like it's not just what you think it is. And then having climate to have a alignment of maybe content-wise makes it important also. Because climate has a sustainable, because that's where the business part comes in.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing, right? So what I've realized in this point of my life is that once you have a mission, right, that is, I think, the single most important thing to have in your life. Because when you've got a mission, there's no stopping you because you're on a mission, right?
Okay.
And and if the mission is as existential and as important, literally, and as exciting as saving yourself and all of your friends and your family and your dog and the animals and the plants and everything, then it's very motivating, and it's a good thing because we're a very diverse group of people working within climate actions. And what the one thing we can say is we're on this mission, right? And so it also gets rid of ego a bit, because you say, well, is my action actually going to help the mission, right? And if it's not, well, then it's probably not worth doing. So it makes it easier. So my life is much easier now because I'm on a mission. Now, luckily, fortunately, it's not some evangelistic, religious job thing. It's actually about saving everybody, including oneself.
Yes,
in a sense. Now I'll be gone before the problem gets to that stage, but they won't. But they are now on a path that I think will eventually, and I think that we can change, and we can build a movement within 5 years of people that will bring about change, either at the election box, at the polling booth, or force corporations to change because they'll be boycotted otherwise, and it's a struggle, but I think we can do it. And but at least we have to try.
Yeah.
We don't really have an alternative. There isn't really an alternative. If you care about your own children and your own existence, whatever about your neighbours. So I think we're on a very strong mission.
Yes.
And that's what brings us together and motivates us at the end of the day. And but we're having great fun in the process. I mean, there's never a dull moment. I mean, it's insanity. If you had cameras going on with where we are and what we're doing, you would swear it was made up. There's been so many things that happened that are hilarious sometimes, shocking other times. You've been threatened with guns and everything, right?
This Texas strike is going on even.
I've been nearly killed a few times, I was driving along the N2 there one night, coming back from a gig with Tinta in
Yes.
Cape Town, and somebody dropped a boulder off the thing to try and stop the car so they could rob us. Do you know what I mean? But it burst the front tire of the car, but didn't kill us, and we managed not to be robbed. But it's just another night in Cape Town. But you just dust it off, and you go on because you'd never know when your moment is. You could be electrocuted in your bathroom. Do you know what I mean? So, but you have to step outside the door, take a risk.
Yes.
To even step outside the door,
yes.
And then keep going and travel without fear. But you don't be stupid either. But I mean, I'm here in this studio tonight, and most people are be afraid to go outside.
Definitely. Is this what you feel? Because I'm sure there's a question now that people are sitting there like, how do I get to be part of this? Maybe. Because also, I wanted to, before I say that, I say this, first want to say this is, climate actions also, what it taught me was sustainable development. Like I enjoyed learning about that. Like now, for 2 days, you couldn't go to the shop to buy anything. Mm-hmm. It's got nothing to do with the climate. No. You couldn't go to the shop because of the taxis. Mm-hmm. So if you had a little garden at home with a couple of veg in, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's the sustainable development, that's what stuck with me. Climate actions now, okay, I do. I know the carbon emissions and stuff like that. I'm not a cigarette smoker, so I'm doing my part. But the sustainable development is what really sticks with me. It's about us living off the land, eating better, eating less. And that's what really stuck out with me, how we can learn and be educated about that.
Well, I think we all need to, the thing is that also one of the things we're doing is eduponics, which is another company we're funding as well. Started to got them off the ground, who are now just about hopefully to win a big award.
Perfect.
We'll know on Thursday, but it's already out of hundreds of people. They're in the top 10.
Yo.
So
So the award in itself.
Yeah, it's an award in itself, and because of that, like all the universities and others want to get involved. It's teaching kids how to grow food, but vertically, using aquaponics. And even Tinta tried put that into one of their songs. It's become an in-house joke. But there's a song, it's on the website, where they're talking about climate change and clan dance, can music, and eduponics. It's hilarious. Yeah. But it works. So, we're doing a lot. And I think that, to get involved with climate actions now is, first of all, just go on the website, www.climateactions.org. And there you will find subscribe, newsletter, whatever, see what we're doing. And then we do events, and if anybody wants to get involved, we're looking for mentors to help the kids. We're looking for volunteers who want to come and help in whatever way, because we're doing so many different things that they'll find on the website. If anybody's out there wants to chip in some way, just even a couple of hours, even at distance, to help us promote our artists and our cause online, anything and everything. And really just to come together, that would be the best thing they could do. And everyone just makes one little move, then the whole world changes. So now we spent 3 years now getting to where we are now, but we're actually now ready to blow up. And then I met you and your amazing school, and Kim, your amazing wife and partner, and and I've seen the education that you deliver, and I'm an educationalist, and it's the best little school I've ever. I've been into hundreds of schools from Japan to every part of America, to South Africa, to Europe, to Korea. I very rarely come into a school like yours, as good as yours, and I think it's my favourite school that I've ever been in. So now the plan is to link with you, with Blask, and to actually invest more in Blask, and to get a new, bigger premises, which we're looking at the moment, and actually to do some really amazing stuff in that school, and to document it, and to make educational videos, and maybe even stream live, so that kids who are stuck at home because they can't get to school, in a strike like the last few days, could actually not miss a day's school, because they'll be able to follow the whole curriculum online, but be in the classroom virtually, and actually everybody in the classroom will be there doing their thing, the students and the teachers, and they'll just be sitting there like I do, learning and enjoying it, and it's crack, it's fun.
What's the thing that bit you when you sat there and you were like, nah, this is, besides the content being something you didn't.
Well, it's just the way you teach and the engagement level with the students, and the fact that I, at age 70, am sitting there learning new stuff, I mean, there's a certain arrogance within oneself sometimes. I'm saying, economics, yeah, okay, well, I know all about that. So I sat at the back of the class and I'm saying, shit, I didn't know about that. So, I mean, it was a combination of all those things, and your own character and the way that you entertain. The kids love coming to school because it's fun. You can make education fun, and you make education fun, and you give the kids a hunger to learn. They decide to, they do their assignments, they hand them in because they want to, right? Not because they're going to get punished if they don't.
Yeah, I think it's something we mentioned about praising kids, not praising them, not praising their intellect, but praising their effort.
Praising the effort, I think that's the key, is because, you can't be guaranteed the result, but you can guarantee the effort.
Yes.
Right, and anybody that puts the effort in, that's the person I want to work with. They might not be the best dancer in the world, but if they're not good at dance, they'd be great at something else, because you can see they can put the effort in. Do you know what I mean?
So is that something like when I know some of your the people that featured at a part of CAN entered a competition and then they were selected. But like you're saying, people need to reach out. But when they reach out, there's a certain character that you see amongst all of them.
Yeah, well, going to your school, and again, at the break, I'd go out, and then your students would come up and start asking me questions. Now I'm sitting at the back of the class trying to be as
incognito.
Sort of as non-conspicuous as possible. It's very hard, though, being a sort of a but they come up and Jesse, 15-year-old, very interesting, very smart guy, great guy, he came up to me and he didn't and he just sort of said, "What made you decide to do what you're doing?" And I was like, "Wow, that's a good question." And anyway, so we got talking, and so now he's got his business for the 21st of September. He's doing a gaming competition, right? And so I'm helping him with that because it's part of the Can-Be program anyway. There's a gaming element in it, so I was able to give him that.
You just happened to sign it.
That's how you set it up, right? And so on. So all the young people have come up to me. All their questions were really great, incisive, and they're so eager and so prepared to actually ask questions and get help. I think that's the main thing I'd say to any person out there, is just ask the questions and get help.
Yeah.
No matter what age you are, particularly if you're young, is don't be afraid to ask. And another thing is, you said, which struck me, is, if you ask as a younger person, an older person, please teach me, it's very hard to resist, to refuse that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Please teach me. And I say, yeah, okay, I'll teach you,
Use your childhood. Use your childness.
Yeah, and I think that, that's why I also want to recruit. I actually want to get climate for elders. So I want older people who are retired. Now I'm officially retired, but not obviously. Never worked. I'm working harder now more than ever at age 70. Like not a moment to waste. Especially as you see that you're coming to the last furlong. Time is precious. So, but older people have so much to contribute because of their experience, their wisdom, their connections, their everything, right? So actually I want to particularly ask older people out there who, might want to contribute, even mentor one of these young people who's starting a little business or give some advice or some help. And also to help us to raise money for what we're doing so we can continue to educate more people and we can, do more around climate action.
Yes.
Because we can do great things. We can do Latin and ballroom dinner dance for people in Calc Bay, for example, in the Bell, for example, where we can all have fun and raise money and, give the kids who are teaching dance an opportunity to teach older people, but at the same time to do so it's great for everybody. So for me, there's a golden rule in business is it has to be good for all of the stakeholders or else it's not worth doing. So this thing of like me, make as much as you can or rip people off or screw people in different ways, that never works. Never. That's short term, never works. And your karma is such come back and bite you,
Yeah.
So, any meetings or dealings I have, and the negotiation, you always need to leave something on the table for everybody. You need to be able to, everybody's winning. And if everybody's winning in the deal, it's going to last and it's going to be good, probably. But if one person is left short, cut out, or not, then it's bad from the start, right? So that's it. And the negotiations, don't try and screw the other person down to the point they're losing money. Let everyone make a few bob, and everybody be happy, because time is short.
And I think that's where you understand, even where we are, the Muse Kitchen, you see how the energy, everybody is just...
It's fantastic.
The energy is fantastic because it's like what you're saying.
Yeah.
They understand how everything just needs to flow in operation. I always use the Muse Kitchen as a good example of, most townships they have like soup kitchens where they have to raise funds to feed the people. But at the Muse Kitchen, the people from the public pay for their meal to feed the people who don't have.
I think that's the ideal situation.
And that is,
I've had great meals there for 50 to 80 rand that you pay 200 rand for in Tiger's Milk or something else, right? And and the atmosphere is cool, and I love that. And then you can buy these little tokens for 15 rand, which again is great because I bought some and then literally went outside the door and this elderly gentleman obviously needed some help.
Yes.
So I was able to give him some food vouchers. I knew at least that he was going to get a meal with it and not spend it on drink or something. Do you know what I mean? So 100%. It's just such a good thing. I think the kitchen's a great place. But we need to move the school out of there into a bigger place. So anybody's got a big hall out there, a nice building, an empty church, we're in.
Empty church.
Yes. Anybody out there wants to give us a church for cheap rent?
When I was at CEDA, when I taught in mainstream school, they called me Jesus.
I'm not surprised. But I think you're a Rasta, actually. I think you're a Rasta in disguise.
My dread's got an inwards.
Yeah, I think...
So, Mr. Stephenson, it's been beautiful having you here, sir.
It's been fun.
It's been fun. And I hope it was fun for you as much fun.
I'm sure it's all very scattered, but anyway, the information's there.
The information's there.
Yeah.
Everything's there. It's a conversation. We don't need it to be in order. Whoever's in a snippet.
Yeah, and just please get involved and check out the music and follow those artists.
Yes, so
and if you want surf lessons, Wade.
Just plug everybody in. Wade's show. It's Wade's show. What's it? Surf skate.
Yeah.
Check out Wade. IO Can Dance. You can check out Tinted Tribe. You can check out SGG.
Yeah.
Who else we plugging on?
Well, I think Blask
Blask, you can check out
highly
Blask as well,
recommended,
please.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend.
I'm sorry there's no room for your children in there at the moment, but if we get a bigger premises, there will be.
There's no room at the moment. You can apply for next year, ladies and gentlemen. There's room for next year.
Yeah, and there's more, and there's on the website, so, go
And,
there, check out Hayes, this guy from Uganda, right?
Okay.
Yeah, he's not on our website yet. There's a lot of stuff not on our website. We haven't even had time to put half the stuff.
So it's coming, ladies and
But
gentlemen.
yeah, Hayes Willett.
Hayes Willett.
Or Sir Kisoro. That's
Okay.
Kisoro. It's the name of the town that he's from in Uganda. Check him out, 23, very, very good. And there's so many great artists here, by the way. And then DJ T's.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, please check out
really
DJ T's.
taking off.
Please.
This guy's taking off. So actually, he was in this studio actually and got some advice from you.
He shot his music video.
Yes, the first music video was grace of this very generous gentleman at the end of the garden here. And then he,
Cape Conscious Media is
didn't
probably
get too
joining
many
people
views,
also
but
soon.
recently he's getting 50,000 views a week.
Yep.
And he's getting subscribers through the roof, and well, I've invested in his business because he didn't have the money for a deck and this and that and the other and speakers. So I invested in his business and it's taking off, right? And he's getting booked right, left and center. So shout out to DJ T's.
Shout out to DJ T's.
That's
Staple.
TEASE, DJ T's. Check
And
him
you
out.
will see he has a hat on with
The mask.
the mask and paint. Beautiful body. That is a staple in the evening when you're doing your work, ladies and gentlemen.
That's just a marketing thing too, is, I came back from Ireland with that idea and when I said it to him, because I was just thinking how you just need some unique selling point, and so with him I said, just, man, you just look great. You've got, you look great. I said, well, just, but he said he was too shy. I said, well, put a hat and a mask on. Take your shirt off, you know what I mean? And it's worked. It's worked. But the thing is, he's a great DJ. And the sets that he's doing, I was looking at how long people watch his set for. It's ridiculous.
The whole time.
75%. Like, people they might look for a minute. So he's getting people looking for like 30 minutes. Right, or the full set. So it's a whole set of 45 minutes that he does in different locations, and it's the best Alan piano selections, and I love it. And I'll go in at night and I'll just turn on the TV, and I'm not watching the news. I'm watching DJ T's, right, and just loving it.
I want to say to everybody that's part of CAN and the recommendations that I read about from you about CAN and everything is that. When you give an idea, it shouldn't be taken lightly.
Because it's after 50 years of trial and error.
Yes.
So
when you say something, I've learned in a short space that it shouldn't be taken lightly at all. Because what?
Well, it comes quickly because it comes from a lot of experience. You see.
Yes.
But
people tend to think that you're not into date. You're outdated.
No.
But I'm checking one of the guys on that commented there. That guy's a Web3 developer. I'm like, whoa. So if Rob had Last Beat and this guy was saying that he was inspired to become this because of this CAN beat, and he's a Web3 developer, then he should be talking to you. So you're definitely not out of date.
No, I mean, look, as I say, the whole point is we're trying to bring as many people together as possible, and let's have a conversation. And we do events as well, like we do climate action events where we have music, but then before the event we'll have 2 hours where different organizations come in. So if there's any organizations out there that want to come together, we'll put a venue together, be it in OBS or be it in Musenberg or somewhere else, where we can bring people together and have the conversations and have fun and have music as well. And so it's a mixture of all those things, and I hope when you get a bigger premises, which I hope will be soon, we can do events there as well, and we can bring people together. So any other organizations out there, as well as individuals who want to get involved, please drop us an email, join our mailing list, and then we'll be in touch, and then we can meet up either online or at events where everyone's going to have a blast, have a blask.
everybody, a new blast is going to turn into a verb. Mr. Stephenson?
Have a blask. It's a new education. It's a new vibe in education. Blask.
There is a new vibe in education. We're going to have a blask.
We're going to have a blask.
Mr. Stephenson, thank you very much for your time. The two of us can go on forever. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you to your agents also for giving you the time. Shout out to everybody that you have given an opportunity to. Appreciate your time. Is there anything you want to share before we part ways?
Well, Be Happy and Dance, or Dance Be Happy, which is the track that we have done in Uganda. Check it out, and it's a good message. Dance, be happy, because you never know, for tomorrow you may die. So you might as well enjoy the here and now, the now. So let's live in the now, and let's be happy, and let's share, and do nice things, and think nice things about people rather than terrible things.
A blessed evening, ladies and gentlemen. Fagan Muller podcast, growing your professional self. Thank you very much, sir.